Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.
Well. Sorry, I'm just looking at my settings over here. It's all good. Good evening, one and all. Good afternoon, good morning, whenever you are watching this. And welcome to this special Saturday edition of Chasing Dissent Live. I bring you a guest, boys and girls. I'm going to introduce you to Danielle Bennett, who, as the title of the show suggests, had her life absolutely wrecked by the mainstream media. And not only the mainstream media, but one of the key journalists behind the current, I guess, sensation in the news, which is the Russell Brand story. This is not about Russell Brand. This is Danielle and her story. So, hello, good evening, welcome.
Hi there. So, yeah, I'm Danielle Bennett. At the time of the article, did this sound okay? Because there's a little bit of noise outside.
It's okay. We've got the little bit of background noise, but you're coming through loud and clear. I'll just ask the chat as well. Is Danielle coming through loud and clear, people?
Can you say that again? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, yes. I'm just asking the chat if you're coming through loud and clear, but on my end, you are.
I'm just seeing if I can turn the volume up.
Okay, my apologies. I can shout if you'd like.
Sorry, I think I can hear you now.
Okay, cool. So yeah, sounds fine to me. A bit loud. Okay, yeah, sounds all good on their end. So let's just go for it. So, we're speaking specifically about a journalist by the name of, is it Charlotte Wace?
Yes.
Who, well, I guess you need to tell us in your own words what happened here.
So back in 2017, Charlotte Wace was working for the Mail on Sunday. And the first I heard of Charlotte Wace is that she booked in to have a treatment with me in my home. So I used to run a home beauty business. I've now got a salon, but at the time I used to run my business from home. I was a single mother at the time. And she booked in with me for a treatment, and she gave me a false name, and she turned up to my house pretending to be a client. She had a hidden camera on her, which obviously I didn't know at the time. And to be honest, from the moment she came in my house, I knew that she wasn't a real customer.
Okay.
I assumed she was the friend or a friend of a disgruntled customer that I'd had previously.
Okay.
That I can't go into. But I can tell you that I didn't do anything wrong, and I can tell you that the police were involved for this particular client, and it was already a stressful situation.
Okay.
Now, Charlotte Wace came in and she asked for the same treatment that I'd done for this other lady, and she was saying some really strange things. Like, for example, she said, "Are you a GP, a general practitioner?" And I was like, no, like I'm covered in tattoos, like not that means anything, but I definitely don't look, act, or I've never tried to portray myself as a general practitioner.
I mean, snap.
Yeah, like I clearly am not a GP. So she was asking some really strange questions, and I did automatically know that she wasn't a customer, that she was something to do with the disgruntled client that I had.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she said was, I'm allergic to lidocaine, and lidocaine is a numbing agent that goes into numbing cream. And the treatment that she'd booked, for example, you wouldn't do it without numbing cream.
Yeah.
So I said, well, look, I don't think I can do the treatment on you. You know, you're allergic to something I need to use, and I'm not willing to do it without that because it will be really painful for you.
Yeah.
So she actually tried to convince me to do the treatment, which for the record, I didn't do. And she was like, just use it. It'll be fine. So I said, listen, I'm allergic to nuts. if I eat a nut, I will quite possibly die.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use something that you're allergic to. So there were lots of giveaways like that that made me think this is definitely not a customer, and she's definitely trying to catch me out with something, which I would never be catched out or caught out because I'm a professional.
Yeah.
Anyway, I ended up asking her to leave. And one of the things that I will mention, and I don't want it to come across accusing or anything, but obviously now that I know that she had a hidden camera, I did see the footage, although it was doctored, when I was going through my case. My son came downstairs at one point,
Right.
because she shouldn't have no longer been in my house, and he was a little boy then, and he had his boxer shorts on because he'd been in the bath.
Yeah.
One of the things that concerns me is she will have had footage of my child in his underwear.
Yeah.
Separate issue, but you know, a concern for me as a mother.
Yeah, of
Anyway,
course.
the next day I couldn't stop thinking about this woman. I knew she wasn't a customer, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I Facebooked the name that she gave me, which was Roxanne Wace. I searched it on Twitter, on Instagram, and there wasn't a single result for somebody called Roxanne Wace, not one. So
Doesn't shock me.
yeah, so what I did is the phone number that she texted me from, to book the appointment, I Googled it and it came up straight away. Charlotte Wace, reporter for the Daily Mail, Mail on Sunday, Mail Online.
Yeah.
And at that point I thought, here we go.
So sorry to laugh, but I know exactly what you mean here. These people, and this is why we're having this conversation, because these people I don't think they're journalists anymore, and I don't think they have any journalistic integrity. And I think as we go through your story here, we're going to discover that this particular woman definitely doesn't, from the sounds of things.
Definitely not. Once I realised who she was, I first of all did a little bit of digging at some of her past articles, and some of them that I read about the beauty industry, I could highlight quite a few facts that are not facts in her articles. So straight away I was thinking, oh my God, this woman is about to unleash hell and lies on me. I already knew where it was going. So I texted her and I said, hi, Charlotte. I've now realised that you entered my home where I live with my child under a false identity. Before I call the police, I'm going to give you the opportunity to explain yourself.
Yeah, good.
So she replied saying, I'm a reporter for the Mail Online. I'm writing a general article about the beauty industry. You're one of the many salons that I've visited, and if I'm going to write about you, I'll email you with what I'm going to write.
To offer you a right of reply, I assume.
Pardon?
That would be to offer you a right of reply, which really they should do.
Yeah. So then I sort of replied saying, look, I'm fully aware of what you're going to write about. You're going to write about a client who's been telling lies all over social media about me. And I think we should have a conversation before you do, because I promise you're about to make a really big mistake.
Yeah.
And she just sent me her editor's email and said, email my editor if you've got an issue. So I emailed the editor, who was called John Wellington. And I basically kind of briefly told him, you know, you're going to make a mistake with this. There's a story here if you want it, but it's not the story that you've got.
Yeah.
And he didn't reply till after the article was published, which was a few weeks later. And when she wrote to me, she emailed me the night before they were going to publish the article. And she basically said, here's what we're going to write. Tell us what's not true. Sort of email. And what she was going to write was way worse than what she did write. But still, what she did write was bad enough. And the story that they were going with was that I was a backstreet establishment because I live in a little terrace house. So they were calling me a backstreet establishment. They were calling me a rogue beautician, a cosmetic cowboy. They were saying that I wasn't insured, that I wasn't qualified, that I wasn't licensed, that I wasn't accredited. None of these things are true. None of them. When they printed the article basically insinuated that I disfigured somebody's face. Absolute madness. Never happened. It still insinuated that I wasn't qualified, that I wasn't insured, that I wasn't licensed, and none of it was true. She also included something at the bottom of the article referring to something from my past, which she also got that wrong. And she basically said that I was a criminal. Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
the article, to anyone that read the article who was just a general member of the public will have been reading that thinking, yeah, bodge job beautician exposed. Good. And I lost clients over this article immediately. Like, as soon as the article went live, I was getting messages, and I used to have I still do. I have an online booking system.
Okay.
And all that was happening is notification after notification of people cancelling appointments. It was literally ding, ding, ding. I had my own family, and I now don't have a relationship with my own family because my own family believed this article and basically said, don't you think you should just go get a job now? Like, at that point, I've not spent 16 years building a reputation of all 5-star reviews, I might add, all 5-star reviews, hundreds of them, and hundreds of clients that are happy with me, to then have one liar, Charlotte Wace, write an article about me with, get this, an anonymous source, which was the disgruntled client. Anonymous. Listen, if you're telling the truth, you will put your name to it. I am telling the truth right now. My name is Danielle Hindley or Danielle Bennett, whichever one you want me to know me as. I have no problem telling the truth, and that is my name. I will put my name to the truth. This journalist, Charlotte Wace, used an anonymous source to write lies about me, and what followed that article wasn't just losing clients. It made me mentally ill. I was massively obsessed. I didn't sleep at night time. I was Googling how to sue a newspaper. I was trying to find dirt on Charlotte Wace. I was Googling who has ever sued a newspaper. It was an absolute obsession. First of all, I lost a lot of weight. I was literally like skin and bones. And then it went the other way. I piled on 4 stone, and I was the biggest that I've ever been. I was bigger than when I was pregnant with my child. And basically my days consisted of, and I couldn't even tell you how long for, my days consisted of getting my son up for school and sending him off to school, getting back in bed. The curtains were always closed, and I would just read all these horrible comments on the internet where people had jumped on the bandwagon thinking I was what she wrote I was. And this is what worries me now with the current story, which, like you've said, we're not going to go into. People believe what they read in the newspaper, and that's bad enough because the newspapers are not even properly regulated.
Well,
But that particular journalist, Charlotte Wace, has never apologised to me, and she's never acknowledged me. And the reason for this is because she knows that I know. She knowingly wrote all those lies about me, and it tore my life and my mental health to shreds.
So you ended up actually fighting this legally, didn't you? You ended up taking Charlotte Wace and the Daily Mail to court, and I just want to touch on the current situation at the moment, because I'm seeing a lot of mirrors in what happened to you and what's happened to that man, because he only got these allegations just before. They are anonymous. Okay, now I'm not going to say that Russell Brand, ladies and gentlemen, is innocent, because I don't know. I wasn't in those rooms. But I'm also not going to say he was guilty. And I think what we're hearing now from Danielle really does throw a spanner in the works, at least to the credibility of what appears to be one of the main journalists behind these anonymous allegations. So what you did next, I think, makes this even worse. So please do continue.
So what I did to start with was I went to IPSO. So IPSO stands for the Independent Press Standards Organisation.
Yeah.
Note the word independent, but IPSO, I didn't realise at the time, are actually funded and run by the big wigs of the newspaper,
Oh, of course.
of the newspapers.
It's like the Independent Police Complaints Commission. Same thing, you know. You go to the Independent Police Complaints Commission, and it's just run by police officers and their mates. So it's going to be the same thing here. It's all the deck is always stacked against us, the little guy. It's never stacked in our favour, and it is like a David and Goliath situation to fight these people.
Yeah, it is. So I went to them and I put a complaint in, and mine was one of the 0.6% of complaints that they uphold.
Okay.
And they did uphold my complaint, and they ruled in my favour on the accuracy. Now, they didn't really have a choice because I had masses of evidence to prove that I was innocent of these things that she'd said I was guilty of.
Right.
So once I'd won that part, I was contacted by an organisation called Hacked Off.
I know who they are.
Hacked Off are, yeah. So they contacted me, and he's now a good friend of mine. Brian Cathcart spoke to me, and he said, "Are you going to sue the newspaper?" And I said, "Well, no, because I've phoned loads of solicitors. Nobody will help me. They're all saying they won't touch it with a barge pole. And they're all saying that it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of pounds," which it did. So he said, "Listen, I know a guy. I know a really nice guy. He's a high-profile media law lawyer. He's called Jonathan Code. And I'm going to speak to him for you." And luckily for me, like, really lucky, Jonathan Code took my case on under something called a conditional fee agreement, which meant I didn't really have to pay for anything until the end.
So it's like a no-win, no-fee situation.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, one thing that people need to be aware of is in media law, there's no such thing as no win, no fee.
Right.
So it's almost impossible for somebody like myself, just a regular single mum from Yorkshire with a little home run business. It's almost impossible for someone like me to fight back. I just really, really was super lucky that I got Jonathan Code. So he took my case on, and I did sue for libel, and I did win my case. They did have to pay out damages, and they also had to pay out hundreds of thousands of pounds in legal fees. And the process of that, I saw something on Twitter the other day relating to the Russell Brand case, and they said, I can't remember who it was, you might have seen it because I know that you've been following it.
Yeah.
They said the process is the punishment.
Yes.
And let me tell you, that process is the most painful thing ever, because you're not allowed to talk about it. No. You're not allowed to say to people, "I am innocent, listen to me, this is a lie." And everyone is still talking about it and still branding you as this bodged job. Listen, my neighbour in my street, I live in a little village, and they put where I lived in the article and a photo of me. One of my neighbours spat at me and called me scum. She called me the trash of the village. I am a hard-working person. Like, I am somebody that, you know, I'm not blowing my own trumpet. I'm a hard-working person. I'm a single mother. I wasn't claiming any benefits. I was working my ass off to make ends meet. And they came after me. And listen, if those newspapers will come after me, a little nobody, they will go after absolutely anybody. And listen, my story was little old me, little old nobody. There's not much of a motive there to try and destroy my life.
Well, exactly.
But there's a motive to destroy a celebrity's life. And so what my case proves that Charlotte Wace is a journalist is unethical. Her work is unethical. Her investigating skills are absolutely appalling because I gave her nothing of negative material to use in her article against me. However, she wrote what she wanted anyway to fit her narrative and to get a step ahead in her career.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think, and I already know the answer to this, but after you successfully sued the Daily Mail, and, you know, by proxy Charlotte Wace as well, because she's the one responsible for this at the end of the day, do you think she should have then been able to leave her job at the Daily Mail and go and get a nice cushy job at the Sunday Times? Or do you think the journalistic industry should essentially throw this woman to the curb and say, as an industry of honesty, we don't trust you?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I would highly doubt that she ever told the Financial Times about this article about me, because when I sued the newspaper, I'm just suing the newspaper. She's kind of like irrelevant in the grand scheme of things to that law, that mitigation sort of thing that was happening. But to me, she's not, you know, to me, she's proved herself to be somebody who will lie to please herself. And so to me,
and to get the story, to get the clicks, to get people's eyes on her, to say, look at this investigative journalism that I've done. And clearly she bloody well hasn't.
Yeah. And so after she wrote the article about me, you might be interested to know that she got a change in job role at the Mail and she became the royal correspondent, and she was writing lots of stories about Harry and Meghan. And look who's now in court against the Mail for more wrong stories. Like, you couldn't make this up. So I don't know if she was responsible for those stories, but I suspect at least some of them she was, because she was the royal correspondent.
Okay.
And then goes on to the Times. Now, my concern is this. So listen, I'm not going to say I think Whistleburne's guilty, and I'm not going to say that he's innocent.
Yeah.
One thing I won't ever do is say that I would want to discredit anyone that's saying they've been sexually assaulted. And I think it's worth saying, without getting into it, I have been raped, and I'm going through the criminal justice system
I'm really
for
sorry.
that. So what I want to say is, the person that raped me, again, I can't get into it because it's in the middle of an investigation right now.
And once again, I'm really sorry.
No, thank you. But I'm okay with it. But mine is also a historical case, which is why I know a little bit about how long historical cases take to get to court and things like that.
Yeah.
But another thing that I will mention is that when I reported this, the person that I've reported is, if the press knew about it, the press would want to write a story on it, okay? So I'll say that. Now, I'm not interested in the press. I want criminal justice.
I completely understand. And do you know what? This is what is irking me. And we'll go back to what you said earlier. The punishment is the process. And that is what we are seeing right now. And I think there may be legal involvement from Mr. Brand towards Charlotte Wace and others, because if you saw his latest video that he posted last night, he did not mention these allegations because I believe he's had legal advice not to. And once again, we can't guarantee that these Harry and Meghan stories were Charlotte, but if they were, we are seeing a pattern. We are seeing a pattern of dishonesty. And I just honestly think that if someone like this, who is willing to do what she has done to you, which has been proven in court, is coming with these things and saying, this anonymous person is saying this, how can we trust it? And once again, as you said, if there are victims out there, we are with you. We stand with you. Absolutely, we
Yes.
do. But
Yeah.
how is this trustworthy, and how is this person still a journalist? And from what you've told me, I am so sorry you had to go through that. And one of our missions here, Danielle, it's only a little show, okay? It's only a little show, but one of our missions here is to get people to just open their minds to the idea that maybe the press is lying to them. Maybe the press isn't completely honest these days. And we tell people all the time, don't believe what we say. Don't even believe us. Go and look for yourself. Look into these people. Look into these things and see what's happened. And with stories like this, hopefully we can reach some people and we can say, look at these people in the mainstream. They're trying to give you narratives. They're trying to direct your lives. They're trying to tell you what to do and what is real. But they can't be trusted.
Yes, and that's the point. So it's not that I doubt or believe anyone who's involved in this story, but one, I doubt what the press say because I know how poorly they are regulated.
Yeah.
And I know that but that particular journalist, when I saw that story, the first thing that came to mind was, not everything you read is true.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I saw the name of one of the two leading journalists that was on the story, my heart dropped and I just thought, people need to know. People need to know. Listen, this is the way I've tried to explain it to some people. And I hate to use this as an excuse, but I'm as an example, sorry, not an excuse. This whole thing that's been in the news about that nurse, Lucy Letby.
Okay.
Listen, I would never let Lucy Letby look after my baby.
Me either.
Because it's been proven in a criminal justice system that she's not to be trusted with babies. So why does everybody want to believe a journalist who has been proven in court to knowingly lie about somebody just for a story?
Yeah.
Just for a story. None of these people mean anything to a journalist. It's the story. They're not investigating a crime. The police investigate a crime. They look at both ends. They look for evidence. Let me just say this. I watched the Dispatches programme.
Yeah.
And while I was watching it, I thought, you know what? I believe it, but I'm supposed to believe it. The programme has been designed to make me believe it.
Because
the actors used.
Yeah, exactly. What people don't understand is I watched it as well, and there was a disclaimer right at the beginning that these women sitting in shadow were actresses. And what I saw, well, they said identities have been changed and voices have been changed and things like that. Essentially, we have actresses sitting there. And what I saw on social media after the fact was, I believe these women and their words and their emotion. And I'm thinking, but you've just listened to actresses reading a script.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what factually happened.
Yeah.
Now, once again, I am not saying these allegations are not true. What I'm saying is the woman, or one of the main women that wrote those words destroyed your life with lies.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, again, I'm not on anybody's side. I just want people to just open their mind that there's questions to be asked.
I agree.
And this is you can look at this from the other end of the spectrum, okay? So let's say, for argument's sake, that those alleged victims are absolutely telling the truth, and that Russell Brand raped them. So let's say that is the truth. Let's pretend that's definite. So why on earth? So basically, Charlotte Wace's involvement on that story is a discredit to those alleged victims if they're telling the truth, because she's a proven liar. So all it's going to do, her involvement, she's not making anything better. she's making it worse because there's less chance of them being believed because of her involvement.
Yeah.
Not only that, so one of the things that I noticed when I was watching the Dispatches programme, again, because I have a criminal investigation ongoing at the moment, so
Yeah.
I know from the other end, one of the pieces of evidence that I needed to provide was disclosure witness statements.
Okay.
I had to give a bunch of people who I told what happened at the time.
Okay.
That's a pretty basic piece of evidence that you would provide.
Yeah.
There wasn't any disclosure witnesses on that programme.
So
Not one.
one thing I will tell you, and I know we didn't want to make this about this, but none of these alleged women, and I have to say alleged women because there's no identities. So none of these alleged women had made the choice to come forward themselves. They only spoke when Charlotte Wace and the other journalists at the Times sought them out and contacted them and asked them to go on the record. And it worries me deeply that this woman, who has a proven in court track record of writing completely false stories, is them writing stories saying anonymous person A says this, how do we even know? And I'm just asking questions here, but how do we even know one or two or any of these women exist?
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. But another thing that I just thought I'd mention, so again, we're going on to the brand story.
Yeah.
So, and I can only relate this to my own experience.
Yeah.
So earlier this year, it was in February, that's when I reported my experience that I'd had. The incident happened back in 2014, so it's quite similar, that it's a historical case.
Okay.
And the reason that I reported it was something triggered me at the beginning of the year, and for about 3 weeks solid, I had thoughts being triggered. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop thinking about other women that will have been raped by this same person.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't reported it to the police. Not only that, it was 3 weeks of constant thinking about it. God, I had headache. Like, I needed to get it out. This apparent alleged investigation that was sort of headed up by Charlotte Wace and a friend, this apparent investigation went on for 4 years. Again, I'm only asking the question, are we led to believe that these women were talking about their experience of being raped and sexually assaulted on and off for 4 years, and they weren't triggered to go to the police in that time?
Now, you know, people in my audience will know, I have also had stuff happen to me, but I did go to the police, and it didn't work out very well, put it that way. And maybe because of that, and because that is the case, you know, I'm playing devil's advocate here. Maybe people don't want to go to the police because they think the police are going to do nothing, or they don't believe them. And I can certainly see it from that angle, because my own experience says they didn't do anything. Okay.
Yeah.
But I certainly see your point, and surely as an ethical, not just an ethical journalist, but an ethical person, if I was doing this and I was doing this reporting, I would try and encourage, if someone gave me such horrific stories, I would try and encourage them. Say, look, before we even begin to publish this, maybe we should report this scumbag to the police.
Yes. Yeah. One thing that, as well, that is going to pose a problem because of the way the media have gone about this story is, so we've had the trial by media straight away.
Of course.
What's going to happen now? So I know, again, because of my other experience, the police told me when I reported it, under no circumstances can you name this person, can you go to social media, can you go to the press, because you will cause a problem for the investigation.
Yes.
Because by doing that, So straight away, as soon as I saw that this was in the press, I thought they've not reported it then, because the police would have told them not to do this media thing, because they needed to do a criminal investigation. So that's one sort of problem. Now, the other problem they're going to have is, again, so let's say that Russell Brand's innocent for this example.
Right.
So it's going to take him 2 to 3 years to prove that he's not guilty, to prove that he's innocent. And then he's not going to be able to sue the newspaper, because the deadline will have passed for him to sue for defamation, because you only get 12 months. So that's going to be one outcome. The other outcome is, let's say that he's innocent and he goes to court and he says, I plead not guilty. So they have to go to trial and they have to get a jury in. That jury cannot have any know-how of any of this before that trial. That's going to be impossible.
Yeah,
every person on that jury will have already made their mind up.
Exactly.
So that could go against him. So he could be innocent, but they've all decided, because the papers told them that he was guilty. They've already decided he's guilty. So an innocent man potentially could go to prison for it. On the other end of the spectrum, again, is that what could happen is they could plead. The jury could find him not guilty, for example. No, the jury could find him guilty. Which way was I going with this? The jury could find him not guilty. Sorry, I've lost my chain of thought.
And he actually be guilty.
Sorry. Yeah, and he could go down the route of, well, they found me guilty, but I wasn't given a fair trial, because that jury already seen it in the media, and he could end up walking free as somebody who genuinely has committed rape, and he will have a very good defence to be able to say that jury already made up their mind because of what they saw in the media. So again, it could go the other way because of the way the press have gone about it.
Do you know what? I think stories like this and stories like yours and stories about what the mainstream media are really like, I think they're so important, Danielle. I really do. Because, as I said earlier, these are the people that are trying to shape your mind, shape your narrative, tell you what to think, what to believe, and you know, how to live your life. And if these people genuinely cannot be trusted, then something has to change.
Yes. Yeah, it really does, and it's not going to change overnight, unfortunately, because everything in the world or in this country is regulated. Yeah. And so we believe that we can trust everything. We can trust the financial industry because it's regulated. We can trust the education system because it's regulated. And we assume that everything is properly regulated and the press isn't. And that's a massive, massive problem. Now, I just want to say as well before we go, because I don't want this to come across like I've got it in for Charlotte Waste. I have not got it in for Charlotte Waste. Charlotte Waste knowingly wrote an article about me that absolutely tore my life to shreds. And she's never once apologised for it. She's never once tried to explain herself. She's never once even acknowledged that I'm even a person until she blocked me the other day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. She's heard me now. I'm glad she's blocked me because she's heard me and she now knows that I'm a problem for her because I will tell the truth.
I'm going to send her a link to this.
Yeah.
I'm going to send her a link.
The other thing as well is that when I sued the paper, it had no, what's the word I'm looking for? It didn't affect Charlotte Wace's life one tiny little bit. She won't have even had a clue what was going on in my case when it was going on. She won't have been consulted. It doesn't matter. And so many people around this subject say, we should be sympathetic towards the journalists because they're just doing what their boss told them to do.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that every single human on this planet makes a conscious decision whether they're going to do the right thing or whether they're going to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Charlotte Wace chose to do the wrong thing. She chose to write things that were not true about me, that ruined my life and almost left my son without his mummy. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with her personally not being held accountable. She is accountable and she needs to be accountable, and she should not be writing stories like this when she's been proven to be discredited.
I 100% agree with you, and I think that is the perfect place to end this little show that we've done live. I hope we can get this shared out after the fact to so many people, because this woman has written a story that could potentially see a man in jail. Potentially. We need to know that our journalists can be trusted with the information that they deliver us. And I don't think, after what I've heard today and what I've seen from you over the past week on X or Twitter, I don't think this woman can be trusted. I don't think any mainstream paper should be employing her. And I think if they knowingly employ her, knowing about what has happened here, then that organization can't be trusted. So I think I'm going to try and reach out to the Times and see if they know about this. I'm going to give them this interview, and I'm going to see if they know about this. Because if they do, and she's still a Times journalist after this, then we know where they stand.
Yeah, I've really struggled this week, and actually, I have psychotherapy sessions because of the trauma. And one of the things that I spoke to my therapist about this week is I've really struggled to watch people refer to her as a top journalist.
Yeah, I've seen
a top
Andrew Neil.
Journalist.
I saw Andrew Neil call her that, and knowing what I know, and you know, we've had interactions over the past week, and seeing your story, how can someone like Andrew Neil call it? And I responded to Andrew Neil, by the way, before I let you go. And I didn't name you specifically, but I explained what she had done. And you know, somebody simply responded to me, and this pissed me off, quite frankly. They were, oh, but that can't be blamed on the journalist. The Daily Mail would have pushed her to do that. She wrote those words. She went in that house. She made those things up. And the Daily Mail are just the outlet to which she gave those lies.
Yeah, I absolutely do believe that the Daily Mail, the Mail on Sunday, the Mail Online, I absolutely believe that they are the biggest villain. So I will say that. I do believe they're a bigger villain than Charlotte Wace, but Charlotte Wace made a conscious decision.
She did.
To put her name to a lie-filled article about me that ruined my life. And you know what? I'd have so much more respect, and I'd probably put it to bed if she just said, you know what? I messed up and I made a mistake, and I know that I did it, and I'm so sorry that I used you and ruined your life in the process, and I'm sorry. She hasn't done that. She's blocked me. Like, after all these years, she's acknowledged that I'm here though, but she won't ever acknowledge it, and that to me says a lot about a person. Now, if let's say that this story that she's wrote about Brand is true, and she's done a lot of genuine, real investigative work, why not respond to me and say, I am genuinely sorry about what happened with the article with you. I made a really, really big mistake, but this story matters. And this story has been really well investigated, and you have our word. This is real life. Please, accept my apology. But she hasn't. She's blocked me because she doesn't want me. She wants to hide me.
Of course.
She wants to hide me from telling the truth
because you're an inconvenient truth. And that inconvenient truth is that this woman is willing to lie to get the story. And whether or not she's done that here, we don't know. And we're not accusing her of that. But what we're saying is her track record, specifically with you, says this is the case. This person cannot be trusted until they can prove they can be trusted. And that's all I've got to say. And do you know what? I really do want to thank you for taking the time to come and talk to little old me tonight and share your story. You have been brilliant.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope we can share it out. We're live on my Twitter account and on YouTube right now, so you could just retweet this afterwards if you like, because it's
Fab.
live.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been brilliant. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. And anyone that's watched tonight, thank you. If you hit the like button, I know it's been a shorter one tonight, but it's been short, it's been punchy, it's to the point, and the guest, Danielle, has been absolutely wonderful. So I've got one more thing to say to you guys. It's been good for us, but it's been great for you.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make.
Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.